Let's talk about Gaycation.
Okay.
So congratulations, because you guys are now doing the second season.
Thank you.
I know you just went to India. Two questions. What have you learned about yourself doing the show? And what have you learned about how the other parts of the world express sexuality?
Okay. Two big questions. Oh, wow. I mean, in terms of what I've learned about myself, I feel, I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot, and there's a part of me that feels like it's almost going to take me more time to really look back and reflect on just how changed I feel by the experience, how unbelievably grateful I feel to have had the experience, to be able to make the show, and to meet people around the world who just blow you away in terms of their bravery, what they've gone through in their lives, how they're able to persevere. And I think, not to say I wasn't before, but I think it just makes you so much more conscious of your privilege and what that means, and what it means to be able to walk down the street holding my girlfriend's hand, and to be able to openly love her. And I think it makes you just look at all of that so much more, and so much more deeply. And that's probably the biggest takeaway. Yeah.
I want to share a memory with you. I interviewed you many years ago in Park City at Sundance. You were promoting a movie with James Franco.
Oh,
do you remember
yes,
that movie?
Of course, with Catherine Keener. And
that, your character in that film was withdrawn, afraid, and in that interview, I felt that you were more withdrawn as well. And I see you now, many years later, this person who went on stage at Thrive and came out. When you look back on that moment, what is the difference that you see?
In terms of, look back and maybe when I was at the time when you...
that progression of who I had met, maybe, and then who you were on that stage and who you are now.
Well, quite frankly, I do feel like a different person in a lot of ways, you know? I think, you know, too, back when that was happening, that whole world, I mean, I've been working for a while in Canada, but that whole world was very new for me. No, of course, please. That whole world was definitely new for me, so all of that experience was, a lot of it was my first time at, you know, certain festivals like that, what have you, and I think for me, now, kind of getting to free myself of, I think, a lot of the anxiety I held, or shame I've held, or guilt for not talking about, you know, who I am, and or offering some kind of support to the LGBTQ community or what have you. And to be able to do that, and to make projects that I want to make, and feel creatively free as well as personally, I mean, it's definitely a life-changing experience for sure, for the better.
You take on that message so, you know, naturally, I feel. Do you think that this is going to be you know, in 10 years and 20 years, an activist?
Well, I think it's more, I mean, sure, like I would never shy away from that, you know, term by any means. I mean, for me, it feels, I think what you're saying, it does feel natural. It's like, oh, I just shared this part of myself, and now I'm making things in terms of that. Like, my creativity is actually allowed to align with my authentic self, if I may, you know? So I wanted to make the show Gaycation because that's, you know, something I wanted to make. Of course, I want to make a film like Freeheld to celebrate two women who did so much for all of us, and a film in the fall that's a love story again, and, you know, and to me it all feels very, very natural. But you know, it's definitely the community still faces a lot of issues and a lot of discrimination. So.
And in an industry that is increasingly getting more and more coverage for diversity, and in particular, I feel like the conversation that has been happening over the last year has been over equal pay for women and roles for women. What's it been like being someone who's a producer, an actor, who's telling her own stories, you know, going out with your peers and trying to make that happen? Have you gotten any resistance? Have you... You know, do you feel that you're fighting this monolith, this Hollywood monolith that, you know, is slow to change?
You know, I think there's you know, there's two sides of it. You know, there's some people who I think, you know, want change and strive for change, and then, you know, maybe others who aren't as excited about it, and you know, the risks that come with it. Of course, they're not risks. It's just going to make films better. Needless to say, to have more voices and more diversity, telling stories, of course. But I think, you know, I think you feel resistance whenever you're trying to get an independent film made. I mean, that's just the reality. And yeah, I guess if it's two female leads, you know, there's potentially more struggle or what have you. But I'm just excited that that conversation's happening, and hopefully we see the benefits of the conversation. It's not just a conversation, and I just feel so lucky to be in a position where I can help. I can get things potentially made and work with people that I love, and so yeah.